Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Life Money Balance Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Preston Cherry, where we talk about the tools and the topics that help you let your life lead your money, not your money lead your life, where your life and money are working concurrently to help you create and achieve your life's design, and you are living aspirationally. Let's chop it up. Let's chop it up. And speaking of chopping it up, we've having some choppy times right now in the market and in the economy, right? This is the external environment outside of our homes, right? What's going on out there in the world, right? And we are having to navigate what's going on out there and digest all the news and the noise and how that affects what's going on internally, not only with our individual selves, but what's going on in our individual households. All right. How do we go about managing the moment, right, in order to maximize the future? And we sometimes we do have to deal with that, not only emotionally, but financially. How do we balance that out? What does that look like? What are some tools, techniques to consider in order to get through that, in order to, maintain our spirits and hope and progress towards the future, and even live in the now and be present, right? So a process for the present and progress towards the future as well. You know, how do we do that? How do we not experience internal deflation during periods of inflation? Because let's keep it real, we have we have inflation in our grocery carts and everything that we're buying right now. Right, we're experiencing inflated prices for a number of reasons. That's going on. Not going to last forever, and we have to be mindful of that too. Is that just like life, right? Our economy has cycles, has seasons, right? Ebb and flows. And we have to roll and adapt. We have to roll and adapt to those. And my dad used to say that all the time. He said, we got to roll and adapt. We got to roll and adapt. Here's a plan. He used to give us a pep talk, the whole family. And we'll get to that in a little bit because it's key. Because particularly with our family, we had conversations. And I'm going to share with you something you may consider in your household and how to communicate during these times in order to process what you may be feeling, in order in your family to move on and prosper towards the future while we're going through here and experiencing these prices. Because goodness gracious, I not knew you. I was at the pump the other day. And usually I go through, and I'm sure you do as well, which is maybe a one or two click top off. It click, right? And this time I wasn't topping off this time, right? So I think we're all on one click, one click, one click fill ups right now at the gas pump, right? But that leads us to what we what we're going to be doing when we analyze and assess our lifestyle, plans as we mitigate and manage what we're going through currently, right? Manage the moment in order to maximize the future, right? All of this is relevant. So let's start with how we feel, right? Let's start with how we feel. First of all, it's okay to have certain emotions. It is okay to experience some, a little bit of anxiety, right? And have feelings of wonder, right? To have a little bit of uncertainty inside of you. Those are okay to have, especially when you're trying to digest information from here and from there, right? All right. We shouldn't just take constant information in all the time, right? Because that'll shift our mood. That'll shift our mood into constant duress. That is, I mean, we'll always just be feeling a certain way if we're constantly taking in a flood of information that's keeping us down. But the right type of information will help us assess where we are, right? We can't allow external environment information or external environments that we cannot control affect our internal plan and progress, right? External environments are not under our control. We can't control those. We can't control those, and you know what? Those are not our fault. Um, However, those external environments can have an effect on our internal environment. Now, some household, everyone's going to experience these type of seasons, right? These economic cycles that where we go through what they call bear markets, as far as in the market is concerned, or economic cycles where we're maybe either the economy may not be growing as much. It's still growing right now currently, but maybe slowing down or showing signals of strain just a little bit. All right, we everyone is in a position to experience this differently. All right, so it's important to, you know, have your blinders on. You're going to experience this a little different than the next person or the next household. So the level of effect of the external environment on the internal environment is going to be different for different folks. So we have to be mindful of that. We have to be mindful of what our situation is. We're going to have to process emotion differently. We're going to have to roll and adapt differently. We're going to have to make decisions differently. All right. So it's very, very mindful that we not, or be very careful that we not compare our situation to someone else's, and then also not judge anyone else's situation. Okay. And also too, while we're going through this process of our emotion, and also what the external environment may have may and will, could have an effect on our internal environment directly, right? uh, we have to not blame ourselves, not shame ourselves, pass judgment on ourselves, because uh, you know maybe our portfolio is going down, or maybe a job may be lost, or we may not be making certain moves that we want. Okay, uh, then we although we should be feeling a certain way about the negative effects that may be happening to our household. uh, those are not our fault. We didn't cause those, right? So part of the process is saying that's an external environment that we couldn't control, but we have to roll and adapt. And what are we going to do about it in order to manage this moment, right? Because all of us have a plan that we want to pursue. And if we don't, this is a good time to revisit that and say, okay, what is it? What do we have to do now? And then what do we want to do next? Okay, in order to keep our spirits and our perception of the future alive and well, right? So so everyone's going to experience these times differently, and and we shouldn't blame ourselves for external environment. So how do we roll and adapt, right? How do we roll and adapt? Now, uh, there's when we have seasons in life, when we're affected with certain things, certain individuals may have some trial that they're going to experience here, and then some folks are just going to have to maintain. and ease back. All right. So again, it's tough to talk to a large audience because everybody's going to experience things the same or differently. Okay. So again, process it according to your household, right? But the process is somewhat applicable across the board, which is to process those feelings, right? Then when we are addressing those feelings, okay, all right, so that's that's how we feel. How do we not let it take over ourselves? Then how do we communicate that within the household and address our situation right up front? Okay. How do we communicate that? Okay. After we given ourselves some grace, after we get given ourselves some empathy, right? Some compassion, right? How do we do that? So one of the things that or events that happen in our household that I also communicate with the people that I serve is to vocalize to yourself, in whatever form mode of for format that you may have, or if you have a family, communicate. It's like, okay, this is what my pops meant by rolling the dat. He's like, okay, let's talk about it. Or we are revisiting our lifestyle preferences, our lifestyle plan, in order to manage what we have to do right now. This is what we have to do, right? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about our alternatives right now. Let's talk about what's going to come up. Let's set expectations, right? Let's get this out in the open. Makes analyze and adjust some of the things that we're doing. That's rolling the DAP, right? Analyze and adjust some of the things that we're doing in order to wade these waters. Okay. And if we're setting up expectation then, and we're saying, let's have a plan, let's get this out there. How is everybody feeling? And then let's have a plan of action, and knowing that we're going to get through this, but we're going to be working together. All right. Or if you're by yourself, that's fine. All right. How am I going to work to the next step? All right. That's Then you're having a little bit of control there. You're taking you're taking control and reinstilling some certainty into to uncertainty. Because I promise you this, and we know this by living life. Uncertainty is certain. Uncertainty is certain. So uncertainty is coming. We have periods of certainty where that feels good and everything's going smooth. But at some point, we have a certainty that's going to come or going to arise, and then we have to deal with that, right? So communicate what's going on, analyze what's going on in your household, make a plan, and communicate that out, set expectations, and prepare yourself for what's to come for a little bit, ride that out, and then keep yourself healthy and your household healthy during these times, right? Control what you can control, and try not to worry, and just kind of keep an eye out on one of the things that you can't, right? So this is how you keep those spirits up. This is how you keep those spirits up. Um, Also, too, so uh, when we're going through that period of communication, right? What's on the plan agenda when you're talking about analyzing and assessing? Okay, what are you analyzing and assessing? Okay, what are some of the things that we have to look at, right? What are some of the things that we have to look at? Well, when we're looking at our lifestyle preference plan, again, it's a spectrum, and everybody's going to be experiencing things differently. All right. Uh, if it's a temporary, if it's a job loss, then we really have to look at our inflows and outflows. Okay. Um, if it's inflows are still maintained, Well, we still may have to look at our what we plan to do or what our lifestyle is during certain times. Well, we may have to say, okay, we can still live a certain way, but how we may have to dial that back a little bit in order to uh, provide ourselves some cushion, some some safety a little bit, right? We may have to delay a trip or two, or something that we were going to do in order to smooth things out a little bit. Okay, um, these are some of the assess and analyze. Okay, um, there's a couple of other things that we can assess and analyze about also. Some people may experience where one spouse may be staying at home and say, okay, we may have to navigate that way, right? During this time, that may be helping the bottom line as well, as far as economically and also the health of the household. Okay, whichever spouse that may be. All right, these are finding alternatives in order to navigate. Now, everything may not be all, just uh, trial. So like I said, people that experience things differently. And maybe it's just minor adjustments. Okay. Um, One thing you'll have more is time, well, not necessarily just an abundance of time. However, when you're not doling out so many funds during times of uncertainty, money's going out because you're trying to retain funds. All right. What do you do with the time to where you're not having so many experiences or buying so many things? Okay. All right. What do you do with this time? Because if we're talking about recessionary periods, they tend to last, year and a half or so, 12 to 18 months or so. What do we do when we're trying to lay back a little bit? Okay. What do we do with that time? Well, you can invest in yourself. Use that time wisely, right? And you say invest. Well, it's like, hey, what do you mean by invest when we don't have any, when we're trying to navigate? And you just told us, well, where are those extra dollars coming from? Well, I'm not talking about investing that way. I'm just talking about invest your time. Whereas, because there will be a rebound in the season, so we may want to make a career shift or a business shift. Starting a business here in the future. Why don't we? Well, we shouldn't be making major shifts right now and saying, okay, well, this is the time to leave a job, because you want to stabilize inflows during this time. Stabilize inflows during this time, business and at a professional career or the job that you have. Okay, so maybe you don't want to leave those jobs that you have or make any big huge business moves right now. With your business. All right. However, you can, if you did want to make a career move or start a business, you could be doing prep work right now. Invest in yourself. You could classes at community college or taking online courses or library or looking online, just research. There's information on whatever you'd like to do online all day, right? Using your time in order to invest in yourself, build up your human capital. All right, so uh, you are more prepared to prosper when things start turning around. So stay ready. You never have to get ready. Stay ready, so you never have to get ready. Right. So you can use this time in order to invest in yourself, to prepare for being prosperous when things turn around or show signals on the uptick. All right, that way you've laid the foundation to make your next move. It also helps you with that encouragement of staying of avoiding deflation during inflation. You see? All right. Keeps up that hope, right? And encouragement. So invest in yourself. One of the things that households just in general spend a lot of money on is food, right? And I know y'all are pushing around your carts around the grocery store. I sure am, right? And it doesn't matter what your economic status is. We're feeling that because uh, if you were already strained during normal times, we feel that for sure. And then if you were going out a lot and feeling those prices, then you're going to feel them, even during doing steaks at the house, all right, or whatever it may be. Everybody's feeling prices. Because listen, again, don't compare yourself to others. You're going to experience this environment unique to your household, all right, and everybody's going to have to make adjustments relative, all right, lifestyle adjustments and household adjustments internally, and also feelings process are relative and unique to the household. Okay. So always keep the blinders on your situation because it's going to make you more healthy that way. Promise. All right. So, what do we do, to, uh, continue to, uh, to continue that investing in oneself, keeping oneself, keep that hope alive, right? And particularly in the food area, right? Well, this could be investing in better health, investing in better health, right? If food costs more, what could we be doing? We could be eating less. I could tell you that I'm trying to lose a few pounds, right? We got the extra time, right? Oh shoot, parks are free. Walking, doing a little running, meditating, right? Being outside, right? Eating less, right? They're doing a little. Producers of goods, right? It may be the same price in some areas, but they're going to give you less in the package. Ain't that some stuff? Right. So that's another way of adjusting and investing in yourself during this time. Use this time to invest in your health. Eat less, be outside more, right? Use nature. All right, so let's find some alternatives. What we could be doing to, maybe shore up some of our inflows, or what are some of the things that we could do? All right. Um, Hopefully, we have some emergency funds that we could tap into. Uh, you know, if we don't, we just got to deal with that in real time. Understand that. But if we don't, we could try to get access to or raise some funds. If you're invested, stay invested. We try not to let caution turn into fear and panic. All right. Uh, so if you're systematically saving and investing, all right, keep that going. However, it's okay to dial that back a little bit during times of uncertainty. All right. If you have a system in place, keep the system, but it's okay to trim that system down just a little bit. All right. So if you're systematically saving in your retirement accounts or your investment accounts outside of your workplace, okay, it's okay to say, okay, I'd like to keep that going. However, I'd like to trim some of that back in order to retain some of uh, that cash so we can navigate this current time. That's okay. So you're doing both. You're still maintaining a savings and investment plan, but you're also trimming back in order to raise some cash. Okay. If you have some good credit right now and you have good equity in your home, you could do a home equity line of credit. All right. They tend to have lower interest rates, way lower interest rates, because your equity in your home is uh, is served as collateral for a line of credit. You can do a home equity loan too. There's differences. We'll do a whole nother show on that. You can do a loan where you receive a lump sum payment. All right. But the line of credit is just an open line that you can borrow from when you need it. Okay, it's a lower interest rate because it's collateralized by your home. Okay, so if you have good credit, tap into that. That could be a source of stabilization for you. Okay, um, uh, and I already mentioned a couple of other things throughout the podcast as to what to try to avoid, far as making big, large career moves and business moves and this, that, and the other. All right. So we've had a few uh, tips and techniques here, particularly emotionally, and also what we can be steps that we can be taking to look at our financials, uh, how to look at shoring up some funds for ourselves. All right. Um, Oh, here's another thing too. I was thinking while we wrap up. My pops always used to say, my mother too. He said, "Listen, don't be afraid to sell some shit." Hey, listen, don't be afraid to don't. Another term is unass a little bit. Go ahead and if there's some things that you can get rid of or separate yourself with, whether it be a small asset or a large asset. All right. I remember my pops. He would he would joke around. He would say, he said, "Listen, what can we sell?" All right, and then he was like, "If it's not bolted down, let's sell it." And he was like, "Hey, do you want a kid? We'll get you one of those." Of course, he was joking, but it's just not to have not to be beholden to anything material. If you need to raise some cash, do that. And that's again, this applies to across all income levels. All right, all income levels. When you're talking about making lifestyle adjustments to manage the moment in order to maximize the future, because when you allow yourself some grace, some empathy, emotionally, right? When you're trying to process the external environment and the effect that it has on your internal feeling, your well-being, and your internal home. All right, not only on your well-being, but on your financial bottom line and your future progress and your present existence. All right, manage this now. All right, it's the now and the midterm, and then it maximizes what you do with your future. All right, so get through this moment healthily, so you don't experience deflation, household and individual deflation during periods of inflation. Okay. All right. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap it up there. Thank you for tuning in, chopping it up. Uh, we this is part of life. I'm hoping that you can navigate these times and keep your spirits up. And until next time, we're gonna chop it up again. We'll see you soon. If you like what you hear, like what you see, please like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon. Cheers.